It is Tuesday, 6 March, 7 p.m., and I'll call the regular Board of Trustees of the Village of North Hudson meeting to order at, I think I said 7 p.m. So call to order our invocation for this evening. Father, we humbly come before you to ask your Spirit reach across the lands to all who are hurting and spiritually lost. Restore their hearts with hope everlasting. Comfort them with your tender, loving arms. May we be sensitive to their needs, whether physical or spiritual, and be eager and willing to share your love for them, just as you bestowed your love upon us. Thank you. And roll call.
Trustee Head. Leaf. Here. Nelson.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
President Bracken.
Here.
Trustee Zeiss.
Here.
Zappa.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Item 2, review approved minutes from the regular board meeting from 6 February 2018. Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there any amendments, corrections, or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 3 is comments from the floor. It's an opportunity for residents to make the board aware of topics, issues, and opportunities either on or not on the agenda for today's meeting. And you just here as an observer, Matt, or Phil, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Philip Matz. I'm running for an open position of
Address?
trustee, 606 4th Street North, number 3. And I'd be honored to work with you if I would become elected. I think you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
Appreciate that, and we wish you luck. Let's see. If you're not on the agenda, do you have something you'd like to share with the village board, or okay. It's your choice. Please state your names, addresses, and
Thank you. I'm Dan Schmidt. I live at 756 Summit Lane North, and my wife Mary McGurn and I are here to speak to you about an issue that we'd just like you to, I guess, hear more about. So I'll let her take it from there.
Thank you, trustees and president and village administrator, for allowing us to speak tonight. We're here to bring to the board's attention a resolution that was passed by the St. Croix County Board and which will be on the April 4th ballot. And we're asking your support for this resolution and your ability to influence and work with your constituency on this issue as well. And I'm going to just read the resolution and then what's going to be appearing on the ballot. So bear with me. I think it's educational. It'll really explain it better than we could. So the resolution is: the state of Wisconsin has a tradition of open government and nonpartisan local elections, as well as campaign finance rules that have managed and mitigated the influence of money on these elections. And the county has an interest in maintaining that tradition and the resident-driven elections it allows. On January 10th, 2010, in Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, the United States Supreme Court overturned a century of precedent by ruling that corporate spending on elections cannot be limited under the First Amendment. And granting constitutional rights to corporations and unions is counter to the purpose of our democracy and has wide-ranging impacts on our economy and society. And whereas granting constitutional rights to corporations favors large corporations over small ones and favors all corporations and all wealthy interest over citizens who cannot afford the corporate rights of limited liability, legal protection, and tax deductions, and the constitutional right to speak freely should not be determined by the available finances of the speaker or their power and status in society. And corporate money is property, not speech. A house or car does not have constitutionally protected speech. Money is just another form of property. Property is constitutionally protected. Property's right to free speech is not. And where such ruling gives corporations and the wealthy undue political influence, and democracy can only properly function when human beings have equal representation and access to their elected officials. And whereas countless municipalities nationwide and 95 Wisconsin communities, including the village of Spring Valley and Dunn, Chippewa, and Eau Claire counties have overwhelmingly passed referenda or resolutions signaling broad support for reversing the Citizens United Supreme Court ruling. Therefore, be it resolved that the St. Croix County Board of Supervisors authorizes the following advisory referendum to be placed on the April 3rd, 2018 ballot. Shall the County of St. Croix adopt the following resolution? Be it further resolved that we, the people of St. Croix County, Wisconsin, seek to reclaim democracy from the expansion of corporate personhood rights and the corrupting influence of unregulated political contributions and spending. We stand with communities across the country to support passage of an amendment to the United States Constitution stating, number one, only human beings are endowed with constitutional rights, not corporations, unions, nonprofits, or other artificial entities. And two, money is not free speech, and therefore regulating political contributions and spending is not equivalent to limiting speech. So we're asking you to vote yes on this amendment to the St. Croix County, on the St. Croix County Board, this resolution on the St. Croix County Board ballot on April 3rd. What the hope is, and this is through this great organization, we'll put some things back on the desk or outside on the table if we can, Wisconsin United to Amend. And the work is across the United States to have municipalities, counties, and states request a constitutional amendment to the United States Constitution saying that corporations are not people and money is not speech. And that's really the outcome of what this this resolution on the ballot is. So thank you for listening. I know you can't engage in any conversation, so thank you for listening. We appreciate anyone who's here getting educated on this issue.
Thank you. Okay. Item number 4, reschedule the April Village Board meeting due to the spring elections, which are on April 3rd, and would conflict. So our as we have done in the past, we're hopefully going to move it up a week to the 27th of March. If everybody's calendar is good for something like that.
So moved.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second? Thank you, Tim. Rescheduled April board meeting to 27th of March at, we'll see.
In finances.
Finance, we'll see. Yeah, this will be at 7 o'clock. Okay, let's see. Item 5 is new business from the board or staff.
I think you have to vote.
What?
Vote.
Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah, reschedule. All right. All in favor of the reschedule, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, I was in a hurry to get to one of our biggest pet peeves is the president comments. We talked about it in finance, and we've talked about it, I don't know how many weeks and months in the village, but Kevin, was that last November, starting in the fall is when we've really started having trouble with our lift station over on Cedar Drive. The people keep flushing these, they call them flushable wipes, but yeah, they'll go down the toilet. You know, I've said this every month. They get on the toilet, but when they get down to the pumps and the impellers, they plug them up, and we burn motors out, and it's costing us thousands of dollars. So if and we would like to spend the money on other stuff, perhaps parks or everybody's looking. We have EMS, we have fire halls to be built. There's a lot of stuff going on that the money would be much better spent if we would stop flushing these down. And now we found out the last 2 times, they're actually washcloths or actual cloths down in the pump. So people with kids or whatever, I don't know what it is, but for the constant every couple of weeks or a month for this to be happening, it's got to make you wonder. So please, people, if you can help us out, these are a lot. It's a lot of dollars in that we didn't have budgeted, and it's gonna. We don't know where it's going to come from, but it's got to be done. So please, if you can help us out, we'd greatly appreciate it. Next item, I just want to say I hope everybody has a safe, happy St. Patrick's Day, and don't forget this Sunday morning, clocks go ahead an hour. So you're losing your sleep you gained last fall. Melissa?
A reminder, the spring election is on Tuesday, April 3rd. In-person absentee voting will begin on Wednesday, March 14th and end on Friday, March 30th. Also, the auditors will be here April 26th through 28th. Usually only takes a couple of days.
Excellent. Thank you. Next item is Plan Commission. I don't believe they met, did they?
No meeting.
No meeting from Plan Commission. Item 7, Personnel and Finance Committee recommendations. Claims and approval requested.
Stan, may I move to approve the December 2017, excuse me, non-recurring claims of $77 and the March 2018 non-recurring claims of $109,890.01.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second? Thank you, Kathy. Is there any questions, comments on spending? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote for spending. Kirk?
Yes.
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 Thank you. And this, item B, options for credit received from the Solar Garden investment discussion, possible recommendation. Melissa, you give us quick history, please.
In February, the village received a refund check from Excel Energy, and it's for the reduced cost per kilowatt that we subscribe to. Currently, we have a 16 kilowatt subscription, which covers approximately 50% of the average annual uses for the village hall. So the options regarding this solar credit is one, to reinvest that money back into the solar garden to purchase additional solar, which would increase our subscription size and bill credits.
Thank you. And that's basically what the Finance Committee.
That's what Finance Committee approved. The other options would be for it to fall into our unassigned fund at the end of 2018 to be used for future approved one-time purchases, or deposit into a specific fund, such as the sewer fund.
And so can we have a motion?
Stan, may I move to redeposit $3,520 into buying the 2.2 kilowatt hours and the remaining $283.36 to go into the unassigned fund at the end of 2018.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, and is involved in money, Kathy?
Yes.
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 Okay. Item C on the agenda is the Cedar Drive North Lift Station repairs, and we went through finance. We need better numbers on that, so we're just gonna run that down to the to next month. Hopefully, we won't have anybody plug anything in the next month or whatever, but please pay attention to the flushing of those wipes. Item 8, Public Works Committee recommendation. Chair update.
Stan, Public Works did meet. We had nothing to bring forward. We were concentrating on the lift station repair numbers, and we have more numbers still coming in, and we're learning more week by week. I would also say to our residents, please, those flushable wipes, they may go down the toilet, but they are plugging up our workstation or our lift stations. If they back up, you'll all know it. And so we're doing whatever we can to mitigate that problem as soon as possible. And then also we had a 2017 update that our engineer provided. It's in the packet. Kevin, you want to go over that?
Sure. All right, so basically we just looked at what we did back in 2017, and I'll just go quickly down through the list. There's a memo that was provided. So some of the items that we took on in Public Works is the storm sewer catch basin repairs. We entered into a contract with ESS Brothers and repaired 66 catch basins last year throughout the village using the Flex Seal utility sealant system. We worked on the Wisconsin Street, the RFQ. That was for some DOT money that we got through the STP Urban Program. So we needed to select a consultant to do the design work for the cost-sharing items, and we had chose Core Inc. out of Eau Claire for that particular work. DOT was looking for some input on the Highway 35 project, what we wanted to include as cost-sharing items, and we had chose, we wanted to do the additional landscaping, which was going to be some boulevard trees. And then there was a new sidewalk that we want to look at installing from Michelson to Summer Street along the east side. We wanted to include that as part of that project also. The Artisan North subdivision, that's on the Burnley property. We went through the approval process for that subdivision through Plan Commission and Village Board. And they did start the construction here last fall. They do have all the underground utility in, the sanitary sewer, water main, and service laterals, but there will be some additional work this spring that will need to take place before the village will actually accept the roadway. We looked at our 5-year capital improvement plan, and that was forwarded to the village board for approval. We got the go-ahead to start with sewer and water. As part of the Highway 35 project, again, that's going to be 100% locally funded. So those dollars would have to be picked up by the village. We were able to get all the field work in last fall before the snow came. So we'll look at completing the majority of that work this year to meet their current schedule. Also, the DOT, the PACER ratings were due last fall. Went throughout, the whole community and re-rated the streets between Patrick and myself, and those were submitted to the DOT in December of last year. And we applied for local road improvement project application. Again, that's through the county, and that was for the St. Croix Street project, basically just a pulverize and relay. And the village was awarded some dollars towards that project. I think it was around $17,000 to $18,000. According to the sunset clause of June 30th of 2023, we would have to have the work done in 2022 for reimbursement. So the village has some time before you would have to take that on as part of a construction project. So basically in 2018, some of the things that we'll be looking at, Public Works, Highway 35 project, sewer and water design, Wisconsin Street North, there's some things that are happening with that. We don't know necessarily that we're going to be doing any of the design work this year, but we're going to be asking for a 2 years extension on that just because the village didn't budget any dollars through their budgeting cycle last fall. So we have to write a letter to the DOT and ask for a 2-year extension on that. Some of the things, 8th Street water main, there has been a few water main breaks that's occurred up there, 3 that I'm aware of. So we'll be looking at that, see what potentially would need to take place to remedy that situation. And then the Artisan North subdivision, again, that's just finishing out what improvements that need to take place. St. Croix Street State Municipal Agreement will be coming probably in March or April of this year. And then the Quick Trip development, I don't know necessarily if that's going to happen this year. I've heard that they've put that on delay just because they bought a bunch of PDQs down in Madison, so they have a lot of projects on their plate now. I know they delayed the one in Menominee too, so I don't know necessarily if that's really going to take place for this year, potentially in the following year.
So the reason we had him summarize 2017 is so you know what our engineers are doing, and then the request for what's coming. They're doing a lot more than that for us, and I felt like it's important to keep these things before you guys. And
That's good.
do you have any questions about any of the projects? Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Thanks.
Thank you. Is that it, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Public safety, Mark?
We did meet. We have no action items.
Thank you. Public welfare, Kurt?
We did not meet.
Park board?
We did meet, but we do not have any actions.
Thank you. And for all that inactivity at 7:21, we are adjourned.